Hello, Jesse Good here, back from the review, and today we're reviewing set number 71010. It's called the LEGO Minifigures Series 14 Monsters. I'm actually going to take a look at all 16 of the minifigures in this series, because I did open up all 16. And each of these are actually $4 in the United States, and these have an official release of September 2015, though they're showing up in some stores in the United States as we speak. So now, let's take a look at the first minifigure. So here is the wolf guy, and this one is actually the Series 5 Lumberjack turned into a werewolf, and they really made the printing evident, even down to the arm printing, which is nearly identical. It just looks a little bit better on here. Now, they use dual molded legs, which is always nice, and they use that a lot in this theme, and this theme really has some precise side arm or side leg printing, which they also use on this minifigure. The bottom legs are gray color, and then the top legs are the sand blue color. You can see how the printing kind of carries around to the front right there. Other than that, he has a bone accessory, which is nothing new, but his head mold's completely new, and it's nothing we've really seen before. You can see even once you take that off, he does have some printing on his torso and on the back of his torso. His little tail right here actually attaches at the top of the legs, and it's the same one that comes with the Rocket Raccoon minifigure. Next minifigure is a zombie pirate, and this guy actually has some cool printing all around. And he's also another minifigure that uses those dual molded legs, and you can see they use that with this kind of brown leg on the bottom, and then they use this dark red one on the top, and they infuse those two pieces together to create one piece. There's some printing on the side that kind of illustrates that. There's some kind of rips and stuff like that. And the printing kind of carries on to his torso, and it's actually very accurate on how it lines up. His torso print is pretty cool. It looks very messy, and it looks like what you'd expect from a zombie pirate captain. He has a little scimitar accessory, which is nothing new. We've gotten that before. And his hat actually has some new printing, but his face has some new printing as well, which looks really kind of crazy for his zombie face. And he has that little eye patch, and then his accessory is just this little neck beard right here in that dark gray color. First time we're getting it in that dark gray color. So here's the crazy scientist, and this guy looks definitely crazy with that new molding that attaches to the top of his headpiece. Now, this mold is actually really cool because it follows the same system as a minifigure head. So you could actually attach hair pieces all around. You can see there's actually some molding all around that little piece, and inside that's how it kind of attaches. So if you want, just a little example, you could attach this hair piece, which I found, onto him, and you can see it just goes on the top of that head mold, which looks awesome. Other than that, the rest of the minifigure is very, very well done, and I do like how they even include some printing underneath that little head attachment. What you get is this little vial, which has what seems to be a reference to maybe the monster fly, and also he has those dual molded legs with some black boots and some white kind of pants on top, and that has some printing on the front, and it looks really cool. He also has some dual molded arms with the short sleeves, and those look really cool as well, which it looks like he has some black gloves on. So that's it for this guy. Alright, so here is the next minifigure, and it's the Wacky Witch. Now, LEGO has done a witch in the collectible minifigure series before, but this one, I think, trumps it in every way, and I think this is actually the best witch LEGO has ever put out. Love the new hat-hair combo that you get with this minifigure. It's a new mold exclusively for this figure. It works out very well, and it has a great kind of a spooky look to it. Her face, on the other hand, actually has some great printing, and that's just one that's similar to some of the other witches we've gotten before. It's still unique in its own way. Also, the little cat is a black cat, which is the first time we're getting this cat mold in black. It comes out looking really, really good. I like how they have the yellow eyes as well, which is a nice touch. Her torso is very fitting for the character, and she even has some arm printing on her arm right there, and some back printing. There's no arm printing on the other arm. And you can take off the skirt little fabric to reveal some great kind of sock printing on there. That's using the dual molded leg system, and there's printing on the side of both of the legs right there. So that's very, very well done. Her broom accessory is not anything new, but it's still a nice addition because we already have another great accessory with the cat in this minifigure. So overall, just a really well done minifigure. Next up is a plant monster, and this guy has a very elaborate new kind of helmet mold, I guess you could say, even though it's not really a helmet. And what it is just basically the top of a man-eater plant, which is just awesome. Love the molding on that. There's lots of great kind of textures on it, and there's even 3 different colors. You got the green original, I think, molding, then you have some kind of pink in there, and then you have a lighter pink for that little tongue part, I guess you could say. You could easily take that off, and it's removed very easily. And his face right there is actually the face, supposedly, of a minifigure being eaten, only to be spit out 3 days later. Which, I love the detailing on that face, where he even has some little wrinkles near his eyes, which shows that he's really, really screaming really loud and frightened. Now, the actual detailing on the torso and legs is very elaborate as well. You can see the vine kind of carries on all the way to the side printing right there, which is very well done and accurate, and it's kind of lining up. Now there's no printing on this side, but there doesn't need to be any printing. And on the back, there's some more printing. So there's also these little vine pieces, which aren't new in this color, but still nice to get 2 of them in this one minifigure. Alright, so the next minifigure is the Fly Monster, who is a very well done minifigure and my favorite of the series. I love the detailing on this guy. It's just a shame that he doesn't have any specific accessory, but you can see that his head mold is one whole new exclusive mold that is actually made out of 2 plastics. You got the plastics for the little eyes right there, and then you got the whole kind of face molding, and that easily slipped onto a minifigure. And his little antennas are actually kind of a hard rubber, but the rest is a plastic, which is really nice. Now he does use those fairy wings in a new smoke black color that we haven't gotten before, in that translucent for this piece before. And his arm right there is actually a piece from Pirates of the Caribbean, but in a new red color, so that's also nice. And his torso and legs have some very cool detailing on them. Very nice minifigure overall. Shame that there's no back printing though, and that's really it for this guy. So here is a Spectre. Now this guy has that new kind of leg piece that was introduced in the LEGO Ninjago Summer 2015 lineup, and it has some great kind of gray coloring on it, and we haven't gotten it with that gray coloring before. His accessory is just a little chain, which isn't anything too special, but it still kind of adds to the feel of the minifigure. And that cape fabric right there actually has some great tattering in it, and it has some great kind of detailing, and I really like how that came out. The rest of the minifigure, there's a nice gray hood, and his face is kind of goofy, but I like that. Some people don't like it, but I just like how it looks kind of silly. Also, the cool thing is that his face does glow in the dark, and that may be a first for a collectible minifigure, but I might be wrong. So here is the zombie cheerleader, and even though she's a third LEGO Minifigures cheerleader, she's actually my favorite. Now, she does have some great kind of dark green coloring on her, and I think that's probably my favorite part of her whole attire, and it really is on the pom-poms as well, which looks really nice there. And she does have some nice side leg printing, which is really precise and lines up perfectly with the front, like all the other side leg printings in this series. Now, her hairpiece right here is my favorite part of this minifigure. I've been waiting for this hairpiece forever. It's a really nice pigtails hair mold that's exclusive to this minifigure so far. Great kind of coloring with the dark green on the top, and also this little hole right there, which you could put a friend's accessory if you'd like. This one isn't included in the series, and just put it on like that, and it looks pretty interesting. Next up is the Tiger Lady, and now while this one does have some great printing and coloring overall, my favorite part of her is her new hairpiece. This molding is actually kind of complex. I like how they use just all these little ridges right here to make the hair look authentic, but then they continue it with these 2 little cat ears pointing out from the top. Now these are actually colored with yellow, which is weird to see them use yellow paint, which is something they don't use too often, but they come out looking pretty fine. I mean, they're a little bit darker than, say, her body right here, but other than that, I like how they kind of use that, or they colored those top parts right there, because, you know, it makes it look like they're actual cat ears. Now, the rest of the minifigure, like I said, has some great printing all the way up to the side of the legs. Love how they're really being consistent with just how those line up. And she even has this little tail piece, which is a rubber piece, but it's the same one that came with the Scratchy minifigure back in the LEGO Minifigures Simpsons Series 1, which attaches to the top of her legs. Other than that, she just has a whip, no back printing or anything like that on her face, but her little whip right here is pretty cool to get, and that's in that nice black color. So that's it for this minifigure. Next up is the Gargoyle, the only short-legged minifigure in this series, so if you're looking for him, you just gotta feel for the short legs. This guy has 2 new molds. He has this great kind of molding for his back wings, which are very hard plastic. I'm actually kind of surprised. I thought they would be rubber when I first saw the pictures. And also his new kind of head attachment mold. Now, I like how they use this gray color and they kind of make it look like he is stone. They have all these little cracks and printing and stuff like that. That kind of makes it look very authentic. Also, it's nice to see that both of the arms have printing and they're not the same on both sides. This one has a little crack and then this one just doesn't have any cracks. Now, the wing piece actually just attaches from the neck. You can easily take it off if you would like. But other than that, there's no printing on the back of the minifigure, unfortunately. So next up is the skeleton guy, and while this guy's a real skeleton and he's just a trick-or-treater, it says that none of the monsters really care. Now, the little Halloween pumpkin right here, which is a trick-or-treat basket, is my favorite part of this minifigure because I love trick-or-treating, I love Halloween, and they never really did a little piece with printing like this before. For a little trick-or-treat basket. So that looks really cool, and that's just the honey pot piece, as I call it, with a little handle. But now the printing on the minifigure is actually so complex. What I really like is that if you see his headpiece, that string carries around all the way around. That's like 360-degree printing. Don't know how they did that because they've never really done that before, but it looks freaking amazing. Now, the printing on his eyes right there are also pretty cool. I like how they put the little yellow there, and it doesn't look like the yellow is an off color, which I was kind of expecting for it to be because, you know, they are printing it on kind of a black headpiece. Now, there's even some printing on his side arms right there, and then on the side of his legs, which look amazing. It just is one of the most, I think, probably the most complex minifigure in terms of its printing from the collectible minifigures lineup. Now, you can see he even has some printing on the back of his torso, and there's just really printing on all surfaces. It's really, really crazy. So that's it for this guy. Next up is the Monster Rocker, and while this guy isn't my favorite of the series, he's pretty cool. I mean, we've gotten Frankenstein's monster before in the LEGO collectible minifigures lineup, but this one does have some variation where he's actually kind of a rock star. Like his little printing on that guitar, which is new printing where it kind of has a bat kind of detailing right there, and there's some nice printing all around the minifigure, including the arms, which actually have some printing on the dual molded arms right there, which look really cool. And on the back it even says shock and roll, which is really cool. Now his headpiece actually can be taken off, and you can see there's more detailing under there. So that's it for this minifigure, and now on to the next. Next minifigure is a zombie businessman, and this one actually comes with this new kind of printing on this newspaper, which I really like on the detailing. But the best part, of course, is the new hair mold. Now, this is a great hair mold that kind of has lots of detailings on it. I like the little spikes on the top, and it's kind of small, but very detailed, and there's lots of great uses for it. I'll brainstorm some uses after I take a look at the rest of this minifigure, but he also comes with a little business kind of suitcase right there, and some printing all over his torso. And I like how they even included a rip on his arms, because that's some nice arm printing that's pretty detailed, but no printing on the back of his torso, unfortunately. And I also like kind of the disheveled look on his face. So for other uses for the zombie businessman hair, I think it looks really good on Marty McFly as a more accurate hairpiece. Maybe for Han Solo? I don't know. So here's the Banshee, and I really like this minifigure. They used two different greens on her. There's a lighter one and a darker one. And they also use that new Ninjago kind of bottom leg piece that was previously found on the Spectre in this series. And that is new in that color with that, you know, that little kind of color right there. So that's really nice. And then the best part is that there's this new hairpiece right here, and it's a translucent hairpiece, which looks crazy. I don't know how they did this, but there's kind of a grayish color in there, but it's also translucent. Very slick looking and very interesting on how it came out. Now, her face print is pretty cool. It's said that she doesn't have a specific accessory, but other than that, very nice looking minifigure. And you could even put her hair back on, and you can see how the hair kind of carries onto the back. So that's it for this girl right here. Here is Bigfoot, or Squarefoot as he's officially called, and he has this little camera as an accessory. Not any new molding there, but the rest of him is just kind of a recolor of the Series 11 Yeti. You can see them compared right here. They use the same head mold, and the rest of him, he has some little kind of foot printing right there, which is kind of cool. But other than that, I'm kind of disappointed with this minifigure. There's no printing other than his headpiece right here on his torso or anything like that. So just kind of a lame minifigure in my opinion. But that's it for this guy. Here is the Spider Lady, and this one has some really kind of cool printing all around her. She comes with a little red spider accessory, which isn't new, but still kind of neat. And also there's little spiders all over her torso and legs. I also like her little cape, which comes with a bottom cape and then a top cape right here, and it's not really a fabric, but it's more of kind of a very soft plastic. No back printing, unfortunately, which is a little bit lame, but some nice printing on her face. And then this hairpiece would be so much more useful, which we've gotten it before, but not in this black color. But they had to ruin it with a little printing of a web right there, which just kind of disappoints me. So that's it for all the minifigures, and now let's take a look at the packaging and then final verdict. So for the packaging of this series, it says Monsters on the top, and it's Series 14. And there's the back of the package, and also you get this little leaflet of instructions, which even have a little bit of building instructions on the back, which is quite cool. And you get that little code for the online game. So overall, this series is probably my favorite non-licensed one since Series 11. And Series 11 is probably my favorite non-licensed one ever. This one in particular has some great printing and detailing that really pays off. Now, they introduced dual molded legs in kind of their summer lineup, and they use it a lot in this series, and it really works off because you got people with boots and fur on their bottom legs with pants on the top, and they really have these intricate leg printings which are on the side, but they carry on to the front. And really, I think that's some of the most accurate leg printing yet, because usually with leg printing, they don't line up perfectly, but these really line up perfectly. Now, in terms of my favorite minifigure from this series, it's the Fly Monster. I wish some of them had accessories, like, for example, the Fly Monster or the Banshee don't really have accessories, but they still look pretty cool. But the Skeleton guy is probably my second favorite now that I have him in hand, and the Zombie Cheerleader I really like just for the hairpiece alone. So that's it for this series. If I had to choose a least favorite, I'd say like Squarefoot or Bigfoot, because he just doesn't really interest me. He just seems like a recolor of the Yeti, and it doesn't seem like there's too much creativity going on there. But that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. And what's your favorite and least favorite? You can leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.